Recently, Jake Tapper spoke to Republican presidential candidate Mike Pence on his show State of the Union, and he touched on the issue of the striking auto workers. Shockingly, Jake Tapper did not take the side of the employer in this case. He was defending the workers, and he asked Mike Pence, well, pretty important question about what the CEOs are making versus what the workers are getting paid. He specifically called out GM CEO Mary Barra's absurd compensation. Let's take a look at how Mike Pence handled the question.
You blamed the strike on President Biden's policies. Most Americans, 75% according to Gallup, support the strikers. As a general principle, do you think it's fair that the CEO of General Motors makes 362 times what a typical GM employee makes?
Well, let me say what I don't think is fair is that Joe Biden has put forward an economic agenda from the very outset that launched the worst inflation in 40 years. I mean, literally, the cost of living has gone up almost 17% since we left office.
Yeah, okay, Robot. We're not asking about Bidenomics. We're not asking about Joe Biden. We're asking about a very specific issue. Mary Barra's absurd over $20 million compensation in 1 year versus what the workers are getting paid. And you know what? Credit to Jake Tapper because he did not allow Mike Pence to deflect. He followed up. Let's watch.
There's also this issue of general fairness. In 1965, during this era of the great middle class expansion in the United States, CEOs made about 20 times what their typical workers made. But as I noted to you, the CEO of GM makes 362 times what her typical employees make. I just want to make sure I get an answer from you. Is that okay? Do you think that's fair?
Well, I think that ought to be left to the shareholders of that company. I'm somebody that believes in free enterprise. I think those are decisions that can be made by shareholders and creating pressure, and I'll fully support how these publicly traded companies operate.
All right, Jake, so what do you think? First of all, I'm very curious what you think about Jake Tapper's handling of that interview, because I think I don't want to say he's on a bit of a redemption arc, but he has been handling interviews a little better lately.
Yeah.
But also, what do you think about Mike Pence's answer?
Yeah, I think Jake Tapper's on a little bit of a journalism arc. No, nice job again by Jake Tapper. So look, guys, it's not personal for us. So you've seen me get mad at Jake Tapper. You've seen me compliment Jake Tapper. Doesn't it depend all the time? Unfortunately, for a lot of other folks, they catch feelings and then they make it personal. So here, Jake Tapper does a great job of doing a follow-up question, asking the right question, good framing on it. And he explains, look, 75% of the American people are on the workers' side, which makes sense because they're workers, right? And so, and maybe they've started to catch on at CNN. Your audience might also be the average American and not the super powerful and elite. But either way, I'll take it. Great questions, great follow-up. So on Mike Pence, man, you know, all that evangelical stuff is just cover for him being a corporate robot. Did you notice what he said at the end? You know, he said, I fully support these public corporations. Yeah, we know, brother. Yeah. So, and by the way, he doesn't mean I support the corporations as in I support all of the stakeholders in the corporation, the workers, the executives, etc. No, he means I support the people in charge of the corporations.
And the shareholders.
Right, and the shareholders, but not the workers, because you had an opportunity, every opportunity to say, oh, damn right, I support the average American worker, but we'll get to a negotiated conversation. Easy ways you could have even deflected the question. He didn't even deflect it. In fact, he said, the first part of the answer was, Jake, I believe in free enterprise. In other words, no, I do not support the workers. And as I wrote about in Justice is Coming, the Powell memo back in 1971 explained, do not say you're in favor of the Chamber of Commerce and corporations. Say you're in favor of freedom. And here it is all these decades later, and that's exactly what Mike Pence is doing.
Weird how his anti-abortion, pro-corporation messaging hasn't really worked out so well for him in the Republican primary. Strange.